Welcome to today's webinar. We are joined by a whole host of panelists and fellow presenters, which I'll get to shortly. This is the third in a series of webinars that we've been hosting for our partners Navigator on the subject of digital badging. I'll tell you more about all of that in a minute. Just a bit of housekeeping. You can ask questions using the put questions into the panel on the right hand side of the Go to Webinar tab. We will, if any questions that we don't get to answer within the webinar itself, we'll follow up by email. And I think those are most of the housekeeping things, other than to say that everyone will receive a follow-up email with the slides deck and any supporting information. So yes, as I was saying, third in our series of with Navigator on digital badging. Today we'll be looking at how digital badging can support and enhance education and careers activities. We've got some really great speakers, including Tim from Navigator, who you should be familiar with, Jill Scott, who's a Director of Quality at the LTE Group, Ray Snape, who's a head teacher at Milton Road Primary School, and Lucy Lang and Joanna Hodgson from Cambridgeshire County Council. Right, I should introduce myself as well, shouldn't I? I'm Will Cookson. I'm the Director for Communities and Government at Lightcast. What we'd like you to do, if you can take a second, is introduce yourself in the chat. The chat bit should be at the very bottom of the GoToWebinar menu on the right-hand side of your screen. But we're really interested to know who you are, where you're from, so feel free to introduce yourself. Right, now this is the exciting bit. We're going to go straight into a poll, and we would like to know, how much do you know about digital badging? I'm just checking everyone can see the poll. Does that help? Anyway, I'm going to assume that you can see the poll. If for any reason you can't, hopefully one of the other panelists can speak up and let me know if you can't. Just bothered me slightly, and it seemed to come up on one of my monitors, not the one I was expecting it to. So yes, how much do you know about digital badging? Select one of the following, and we'll come to results in a bit. I'm going to do a quick introduction to Lightcast for anyone that doesn't know us. We're the global leaders in labour market analytics. Our mission is to unlock new possibilities in the labour market, and we do that through connecting people with jobs by providing businesses, communities and education institutions with the best labour market data possible. We always hope that our data-driven insight enables better, faster and more informed decision making to take place, either for the individual or for an organisation. Across the UK, we work with a whole range of organisations, including local and central government, education organisations, and also businesses within the private sector. I wanted to take a minute just to talk about the partnership that we've established with Navigator way back in 2020, which feels like a while back now. We connected initially around the Cities of Learning initiative in Southampton, which the RSA were involved with. As with all good partnerships, what's exciting about the relationship we have is there's a real synergy in the way our individual organisations' offerings complement each other. And at Lightcast, we're really keen to explore ways in which our data the insight that we provide can be taken into an operational context. Often our data is used for planning purposes and for strategic purposes. What's really exciting about the whole digital badging agenda is it takes our data into an operational context. Apologies, I'm just going to mute for a second as children have just got home. Okay, hopefully for the worst of that. So yes, as I was saying, operational context for the type of data that we have, and what we've where we've really found that there is a great point of connection is through putting our data into the Navigator digital badging platform, and specifically around our open skills library, which comes from our job postings feed. And that's a great example, going back to what I was saying about what Lighthouse priorities are. It's a great example of how we can unlock new possibilities in the labour market. At this point, I'm going to hand over to Tim, who's going to tell you a little bit about the partnership from the perspective of Navigator.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you very much. And there's probably two aspects to the partnership for us. The first thing is, like you said, colleges and local authorities often use the Lightcast data in order to figure out which skills are in demand in a particular area. And that's really useful for us because, and for this group on the call as well, because then we're designing digital badges and pathways which actually meet the needs of local employers. So that's really exciting. The second thing for us, though, and probably more important, is around how we describe skills, because when it comes to skills, educators and employers often speak a slightly different language. So using the open skills taxonomy, which Will has described, it's actually formed by looking at millions and millions of job adverts around the world, is really helpful, because when you're designing badges, it means that you're designing badges and you know that the skills that you're putting into them are going to align with the labour market. It's important for individuals because it helps learners to start to understand the skills that employers are looking for and help to communicate those skills. And it's important for employers as well, so that when they receive those digital badges, those skills are written in a way that they understand as well. So we think having that common skills language is really important in terms of bridging the gap between education and employment. And that's what's so exciting about this partnership. And it's great that we've got so many people here today to share all the exciting innovation that's happening across Cambridge and beyond. So next slide, please, Will. So interesting, we've got the results that are just coming up here. So it's around 65% are learning or just researching, finding out about digital badges. That figure is usually a lot higher, if that makes sense, because we've got a lot of people on the call today who are actually already involved in designing and issuing digital badges. And interesting, we've never had this figure before. We've got nearly a quarter of people who are actually issuing badges. So we've got quite a switched on audience today, I think. So we'll try and adapt the content for you, but that's really interesting. And any comments about the poll, just place it in the chat there. So how did we come to be here today? Well, we've been working with Cambridge for a few years now on the Region of Learning project, and they're doing some really exciting work. They're connecting learning that's happening in libraries, in universities, even got a project around applying for a job in the police. But what they've been saying to us is that there's lots of really exciting case studies which are bubbling up from schools and colleges in Cambridge. So we wanted to put on an event which really showcased all of that amazing stuff that's happening. My background, I've worked for 10 years in digital badging. I worked with a really talented team that helped City and Guilds Group move from issuing paper-based certificates to digital badges for their qualifications and their assured programme. And I've also worked in education for a further 10 years as well. And one of the really frustrating things that I found, and talking to educators to find this as well, is that we're sometimes hampered by the range of tools that we have to recognise learning. We can only recognise a narrow slither of learning, and not everybody does well in education in terms of qualifications, but they're still really talented. Some of the most talented and successful people, haven't done well with qualifications. And also qualifications are slow. They can't really change very quickly. And yet we've got a kind of an economy which is moving very quickly, and new jobs that we didn't even realise existed are coming into fruition. Next slide, please, Will. I just pulled out this for an example. I don't know if you've heard of this. This is a job called prompt engineer. It only just arrived in 2023, and it's a new type of job which is about building applications using artificial intelligence. It's what we used actually. We have engineers who are specialists in this to create the Navigator AI badge creator. So we don't have a qualification for this. this is something where digital badges could be really applied. And later on, we're going to hear from Jill Scott from LTE Group, and she is working with local employers to identify these types of skills and rapidly develop sort of mini qualifications, if you like, badge awards, which can really speak to these qualifications. So that's one of the applications of digital badging. Next slide, please. Not going to talk much about this. I think we all know what badges are. People are going to talk about this in the presentation as well, but they're a way to digitally recognize skills. They're linked to people's individual identity, so they're secure. They carry information about standards and alignment, which is important as well, and they're a lifelong record, and they can be shared on job sites like LinkedIn and other jobs websites as well. So they really bring qualifications and paper-based certificates into the 21st century. Next slide, please. If you're new and you're learning, if you're in that 65% group, just be aware that this isn't some sort of newfangled idea we've invented. It's part of a global movement. Over 100 million badges were estimated to be issued in 2023. And you've got Pearson's, IBM, Open University, City Guilds Group, all issuing badges. So it's something that everybody is using. Next slide, Will. In 2016, we had a kind of crazy idea that actually there's all these amazing badges out there, but wouldn't it be wonderful if we connected them all together into pathways so they led to tangible outcomes for people? And that's really what we're going to be hearing about today. And we've got Cambridge talking, and Belfast are on the call. I know Bradford and Tees Valley are here, and Southampton and Manchester and other people are involved in this kind of work. You know, how do you create these pathways? And we realized that to do that, next slide please, Will. One of the things we needed was a way to categorize learning. So we went into a partnership with the RSA and other cities in order to co-create this standard. And that was good to be able to have a way to understand different types of informal learning, from engagement to demonstrating skills. So that helped us structure learning. And then we realized, though, in order to really make this work, we were going to have a common way to describe skills. Next slide, please, Will. Which is back to what I was mentioning in the beginning. So we started to integrate the Lightcast skills taxonomy, first of all with spreadsheets and paper, and now we have a set of artificial intelligence tools which you put in the name of your program, some of the description, and then it will automatically align your program with this taxonomy, which just saves so much time. Next slide, Will, please. And then over the past few years, we worked with Cities of Learning and RSA to scale this program in 7 different cities across the UK. But one of the really exciting cities we've been working with, or regions, is Cambridge. Next slide, please, Will. And for me, Cambridge really embodied what it means to be a city of learning. They're recognising learning in every different city, and they have every different setting rather, and they have a vision to improve social mobility by really researching which opportunities have led to progression for individuals. So with that context, I'm going to hand over to Lucy Lang and Joanna Hodgson, who are going to tell you about some of the incredible work that's happening in Cambridge and Peterborough. So over to you guys.
Great, well thank you Tim, and hi everyone, my name's Lucy, and together with Joe, who you'll also be hearing from today, we manage Region of Learning, which is a social innovation project to improve the lives and career chances of young people in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. Region of Learning is essentially an ecosystem, which Tim was talking about, where young people can search and be rewarded for educational experiences around formal education, and to have access to local employer needs and opportunities. And that's where we tap into the Lightcast taxonomy and labour market analytics. So the project was delivered initially in response to the needs of education, skills and training within different areas of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, which is a very economically diverse region with pockets of deprivation. Fenland is currently ranked 3rd nationally for education, skills and training need, where one is most deprived, and Peterborough is ranked 31st. So together we're responding to that. We have a great cohort of providers, and Ray's here from Milton Road, who you'll be hearing from. And together we are aware of the challenges that young people face in our region, particularly if you are from a less advantaged background, It's difficult for any young person to articulate their skills and to self-navigate life and career choices, and even more so if you're facing social and economic barriers, which could hinder access to formal education and potential career routes. Next slide, please. So launched with Navigator in 2022, Region of Learning has been adopted by over 40 learning providers, which also includes formal education settings and awarding bodies, which sit side by side with informal and non-formal learning. We know that by working with our learning providers, that digital badges are an opportunity to improve accessibility and mobility for young people, and can increase student motivation as well, to reward what is being achieved, even if courses or programs aren't being completed. Badges are also that essential skills currency, which shares that dialogue with local employers, coming back to what Tim was talking about, which is a real key for us in creating a seamless ecosystem where everyone is connected. So next slide, please. So Ray, who you're going to be hearing from, great stuff delivered at Milton Road, but these are some other examples of who we're working with. So Cambridge Regional College offer a fantastic personal development portfolio for all of their students post 16. So their portfolio rewards all students for skills gained in key employability skills such as communications, innovations, problem solving, and all of these skills have been indicated by local employers as essential skills for entry-level roles. So these badges, which have just been created, will be issued to 3,000 students every year. So that's a great partnership that we've got building there. Next slide, please. So Anglia Ruskin University offer a comprehensive outreach programme to schools and education settings, which provide foundations and insights into subject choices at the university in general. ARU have strong links with schools across the UK, as well as regionally, and are well placed to offer that incremental step for a young person who's seeking further learning choices. Next slide, please. So the widening participation offer at the University of Cambridge offer a similar package for schools, and we have the pleasure of working with them as part of their Realise project for young people in care, which aims to raise aspirations for higher education choices. This programme has strong links with other services for care leavers locally, including the Aspire project, whose badge you can see there, whose badges for young people in care also directly signpost to other opportunities such as Realise in a pathway. And lastly, the last slide, please. We relish the opportunity to work with our local community centres such as Romsey Mill, who have engaged over 1,000 young people in the past year who are disadvantaged. We're delighted that our badges can add value to the wonderful work that they do, and to support young people moving forwards in our region. So I'm going to hand over to Joe just to talk more about how we see our offer being taken forward, particularly with schools and education settings. So thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Lucy. So as Lucy said, I'm the other half of Lucy. I'm Jo Hodgson, and I work on the Cambridge and Peterborough Region of Learning. Looking forward then, so originally the project was born out of real world need to support young people in developing skills and finding those local opportunities and improve their life chances and increase that social mobility. As the project has developed, we realised that it's not just those people. That's absolutely where we started, and it will continue to be for those people. But we now know that it's a real resource and an infrastructure for anybody at any stage in their career. That said, in order to engage with the broadest providers and the broadest employers, we know that if we engage with schools who are delivering not only the formal learning, but they provide non-formal, extracurricular, other learning that's often missed by the formal qualifications through digital badges, it will give those students much more opportunities, choices and confidence in their own abilities, whether that's through their alternative provision or pledges or however else, which will then, if they are embedded, if they are recognised with their digital skills in the first instance through their schools, then they can access the wider ecosystem and be given greater choice and control over how they access their learning and where they end up. often digital badges, we know, can enable people who often leave with few or no qualifications the chance to show what they can do, rather than being labelled as people who can't do. And it brings them to careers and opportunities that they would often be overlooked for, helping employers and providers tap into a more diverse and potentially creative talent pool. Digital badges on the platform, alongside pathways of opportunity, can provide those real opportunities and routes and choice, as I said, for young people, independently, but also with careers guidance at hand, because they're agile, as Tim mentioned. Digital badges are agile, they're of the minute, they can respond to need much quicker than formal qualifications. So young people can take control at that moment in what they're interested in, and their futures. We feel a lot of feedback from young people saying that they're frightened of making the wrong choice and being stuck. Well, digital badges relieve that pressure. They are able to follow a number of routes simultaneously and make a range of choices. Schools, on the other hand, can show how they go above and beyond their careers, advice, responsibilities. Often schools are providing a massive amount of support and guidance that just isn't recognised beyond their requirements. And they can really help meet the needs of their diverse range of students at whatever stage of their learning and careers journey that may be, from straight 1A to students, because we spoke to a number of employers who were saying, how do you separate these straight 1 students, down to the ones who I mean, I met someone the other day who excels in music, tech and sports science, but not in a school environment. And actually he's exceeding the natural qualifications he could achieve, but he's not getting the grades for other areas. So the digital badges enabled him to achieve in the area he's doing really well in, and reach out to universities which otherwise he wouldn't be able to access. Alternatively, it gives those who are working with alternative provision routes for any reason to work with whatever they're working with. So again, I spoke to somebody who works with animals and just can't access that whole class environment, but excel in the area of their expertise and can access routes and opportunities. It gives pupils a visual representation, which we mustn't underestimate. That visual representation and motivation of achievement and route of progression with a clear destination that within the formal pathway, something a lot of non-accredited training and courses just can't easily provide. And then for the wider good, the employers, the critical mass of users engaged from school level means that the platform is able to collect data and inform and create intelligence about the current skills that are available, the ones that aren't available and we need to address, and potentially the upcoming trends and the market needs, which we can then address prior to getting this massive deficit which we're currently in. And then we can use that to inform employers, and employers can inform us, and we can create the much more holistic ecosystem that our vision is aiming for. But enough from me. Handing over now to Jill, and I think Tim's going to introduce Jill.
Hi, yeah, just a couple of words of introduction. Jill, we met just a few months ago now, didn't we? And you are doing some really exciting work in Manchester. Like I mentioned at the beginning, most credentials are kind of designed independently of employers, and I think what's really innovative about this project is that you're working very closely with employers right at the start of the design project to design credentials that actually meet their needs. So I'm sure everyone's going to be really excited to hear more about what you guys are up to in Manchester.
Thank you very much, Tim. And do you want me to share my screen and just do it that way around, Will, or are you going to play? Will's gone quiet. Hi, Will. Ah, right, okay. Yeah, just I want to give some context. I work for LTE Group, which covers Novus, the Manchester College, Total People, USEM Manchester, MOL, which are 5 different areas of our, if you like, our business. I work across the whole group. It's one of the biggest providers of post-16 education in the country. But for the past 3 years, I've been working across all 9 colleges that serve Greater Manchester. And it's a very exciting place to be, because you've probably heard Andy Burnham talking about MBAC. Yeah, that's very ambitious. And we have got devolution, but we haven't got the budget for young people. We've got the budget for adults, controlled by the Greater Manchester Combined Authority. So we work very closely with the city region to align our curriculum planning across those 9 colleges with the needs of the city, to have an integrated system. And just, I feel like we're taking baby steps, Tim, with what we've heard about Cambridge, who are well down the road in their use of badges. But anyway, let's talk a little bit more about Greater Manchester, because it's not as simple as it seems at first glance. Will we move on? Okay. Next slide. Yeah, so we're almost as big as Wales, but that distribution of population isn't even, and the deprivation data, similar to Cambridge and Peterborough, is diverse across the different boroughs. So we have 4 of the areas are in the lowest level deprivation measures. So you get an idea that it isn't a level playing field. Next slide, please, Will. But across the Greater Manchester colleges, we've got 9 colleges that serve the 10 local authority areas, 70,000 learners, half of all the 16 to 18-year-olds. We've got 7,000 learners on higher level, so level 4 and above courses, 3,000 on A levels, high level of English and maths across that. So you'll recognise this kind of need if you work across those areas. ESOL learners, high level of identified learning needs, and a lot of high risk. So it's very, very big. But we have also great ambition. If you go on to the next slide, please, Will. We are particularly charged with looking at higher technical education. Technical education, T levels, is being well looked after, but we're looking very much about level 4, level 5. And what we've recognised is we need to get the quality right. And quality is at the heart of our badging, by the way. I'll talk about that as we go through. And we are looking at local people into rewarding careers. So it's that joined up to the careers pathways, the jobs of now and of the future. Next slide, please. So how are we going to realise our vision? There are some key elements, objectives. We're going to be employer-led and career-focused. Our relationships with employers is absolutely crucial. We want to meet employer needs, and this is where we start to think about badges. Flexible, responsive and accessible, just-in-time learning. And the qualification system as it stands with long courses doesn't always meet the needs that we have now or the job roles and the skills as they emerge, new job roles all the time. And that pace of change seems to not be getting any slower. We also need to consider cost effectiveness and clear progression pathways. So this resonates with what you've just heard from Cambridge. Next slide, please. So we won a project bid for the Strategic Development Fund, which was a £2 million bid. A lot of that was for equipment. We focused on short courses and we focused on construction. It's one of the areas of growth for Greater Manchester. Next slide, please. It included all our colleges, and I think the tagline, this is from our website, I will give you the link so you can look at this in more detail. 80% of the workforce of 2030 are already in work today. So we took an upskill, reskill agenda and a focus on adults, but also we wanted to create short courses that provided pathways into formal learning. So we reverse engineered from some of our higher technical qualifications that we're developing in Greater Manchester to actually develop short courses that could upskill for the now, but also then to actually develop a pathway for somebody who wants to career change. Next slide, please. The first thing we did is do more work and research, probably based on a lot of stuff from Lightcast, might I add, but also we've got a lot of local intelligence that we've got through our colleges. And we did a lot into researching the sector, the types of jobs, where the growth was, and all the issues around the construction sector. And one of the big things was the micro employers in that sector. It's not massive big employers. And if you think about the apprenticeship levy, where does it go? Big employers. How do we actually do this? So next slide, please. This is the solution we came up with, and you can see that we looked at innovation workshops around the areas of absolute immediate need around digitalisation, the retrofit, zero carbon agenda. Those were the three biggies. And what came up during the project was also particularly retrofit and damp-proof coursing. There was a case in Rochdale that you may have heard of. So we had this immediate need. So we looked at developing short courses that have progression pathways to our HTQs, and you can see that we set that out as our solution. Next slide, please. So badges were in there from the beginning. So all of our 9 colleges, we took a very, what I call, deep, thin approach. I worked with principals, did workshops with principals, I worked with HE leads, I worked with curriculum leaders, we worked with teachers, they worked with their teachers, we worked with employers, we worked with employer representative bodies, so on and so forth. And we also got students to be our test cohorts. And we've only been doing this 9 months, short courses. So we're green on badges, but my goodness, have we moved and seen the potential. And you can see the good example, drone surveying, that's about digitalisation, retrofit, I talked about that immediate need. There is no formal qualification in that area. Introduction to renewable technologies. Okay, next slide, please. And this is the installation building treatments from Bury College, and you can see how we've used the badge awards. This is in baby stage for me. I think we can do more on this, and this is links to our next steps around what is a quality badge for Greater Manchester colleges for short courses that meet the needs. And we are in negotiation and discussion around with the combined authority that if we get those key characteristics right, shouldn't we get funding through the adult education budget? Oh, did I really say that publicly? Right, next slide, please. I did. We also did some really exciting resource development. I have a fabulous team that Tim will tell you about, technologically wise. So we looked at blended learning models, flexible learning models, time on site in the workshops, and then people in work can do this at home in their own time. So it's that kind of mix of learning that we're looking at. Next slide, please. We also realised the need to put these small short courses into a pathway. Well, next slide. So we've actually got a pathways tool that we've developed as a prototype. So when we're looking at IAG, we're looking at linking to further study and also jobs in the area. Click on next slide, please, Will. So, and we've got case studies, we've got employer review, and you can see the badges at the heart of this to give it that recognition, and that micro credential is important because it is recognition of that learning. However, as I say, they are potentially a progression to further learning. Next slide, please. So this is what we're going to take forward. I've been running it as a GM project, but as we go forward, we are definitely going to do, as LTE Group, badge awards, because there is such potential, for example, in the prison education sector. So it's more wider than just GM colleges. One of the recent reports on prison education is people are in there for a short time and don't get anything. So have no proof that they've learned anything while they've been there. And it's too short a time scale to actually get them on a formal qual. We are going to look at links to live jobs and that genuine progression pathway being alive and real time. So those are some of the things that we're going to take forward. And last slide, Will, am I within my 7 minutes? Am I doing all right here, Tim? You can get in touch with me, and we will send you a link, and there's a lovely video. My team are so fab of all the short courses that we've developed, and you'll hear from the people that have developed them, and you'll see some of those learners in action at that link there, and a lot of the projects that we've got going. But as I say, baby steps compared to Cambridge, but my goodness, in 9 months we've done an incredible amount of work, and it has really opened the doors. And the fact that we've got the combined authority listening to us, it could be a game changer. Thank you.
And Jill, I absolutely concur. That is amazing. And as I said to before, I think we've got a lot to learn from you as much as we've gone down a route. So thank you for explaining all of that. That was really exciting, and I hope we can emulate something similar over this side too, because the opportunities it would provide would be fantastic. Well, now I get the joy of introducing Ray Snape. She's an experienced head teacher and is a national leader of education. Ray is a co-founder of the Cambridgeshire Festival of Education and has previously been chair of Cambridgeshire School Improvement Board and vice chair of the Primary Head Teacher Reference Group for the Department of Education. I don't know how she fits it all in, but I'm always in awe of this lady. She's fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, founding fellow of the Chartered College of Teaching, and ambassador for 100.org, and also a very exciting lady because she's very dynamic in all things education. So needless to introduce anymore, this is Ray Snape.
That was the rookie error, wasn't it? Sorry about that, everyone. Thank you very much for such a lovely introduction, Joanna. And thank you very much, Will and Tim and Lucy and Joanna. I'm really enjoying hearing all of this, and to just have it all pulled together, hearing all of these different narratives is really very inspiring. Look, I'm a head teacher of teeny tiny children. I'm not talking about higher education. The children in my school are between 4 and 11 years old. But we are talking about pathways, and the children in my school will eventually be in these HE education settings that you've been describing, Jill. But as a head teacher, I'm going to start by sharing a little story with you, if I may. About 8 years ago, I was walking with my daughter. It was the beginning of summer, and I'm a teacher, so of course I'm going to take my child to the Fitzwilliam Museum. And as I was walking along, I saw another family, and the family was comprised a mum and 4 children and a little boy there about the same age as my child. And as they were walking past the Fitzwilliam Museum, I was really listening intently to what was being said. And the mum was saying to the little boy, "We can't get the buggy up the steps." And the little boy said, no, it's going to be fine, mum, because round the corner, there's a flat access. You can go in that way. Then the mum said, but how much is it going to cost for all of us to get into the Fitzwilliam Museum? And the little boy said, Mum, it's free. We can go into the Fitzwilliam Museum. It's not going to cost us anything. It's free. And then the mum said, are you sure, Ben? Are you sure we can go in there? And the little boy then said, Mum, my teacher told me the Fitzwilliam Museum belongs to me. And those words set me on a bit of a journey because it absolutely chimed with my thoughts about social justice, access and inclusion, and the rights of children to feel that their university, the museums, the city belongs to everybody. And we have a little bit of a contested phenomenon of town and gown. And if there's a way that we can create an ecosystem that levels the playing field, then I'm all for it. You'll have heard many times the expression, it takes a village to raise a child. And I really believe it takes a great city to raise amazing citizens. And so I am really delighted by the work that has been co-created, coalesced with Tim and Navigator and Lucy and Joanna, because what it's doing is showing what is available, and it is the teachers in the schools that are giving kids the keys and making sure that they're aware of everything that is available and there, and to use words from Will earlier, to unlock new possibilities. So in our school, we are working, because our children are under 13, I understand there are whole GDPR issues, but we are working on creating a Cambridgeshire curriculum, a connected curriculum, which effectively puts onto a map all of the different places that children are going to access as part of their learning adventure from when they're in year reception all the way to year 6. And we are literally mapping that, and we're giving that to children in a paper-based form. but included in that is the opportunity to tick off when they have accessed all of the different activities along the way. And we're also aligning that to Skills Builder and the essential skills that the children are going to learn. And like many people, we don't talk about soft skills because there is nothing soft about collaborating or communicating. We call those, and we don't call them 21st century skills because we've always needed these skills right from the times of being in the caves and our ancestors. So they're called essential skills. So children are going to have the knowledge, the skills, but also the pro-social skills around good coexistence. Because what we want in our school is that children learn how to be happy and healthy today, fulfilled in the future, and able to make their world an even better place. We don't currently have digital badges for children, but we have a way of signposting towards badges, and we work closely with Chesterton College and other colleges because we're also offering on our website 2 badges. One is for volunteering and the other is for work experience. And we can use those to onboard people onto the opportunities. And I work closely with Lucy and Joanna to help design what the skills would be. And of course, that absolutely includes the importance of understanding about safeguarding. So I'm really excited. I do think it is a game changer. Somewhere along the line, I'd love to see a digital way for even younger children to collect their badges, and then we can really have this continuum from 4 to 25, 85, 105. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. That was beautifully put, and I absolutely share that vision. And we certainly would very much like to make those badges all the way from 4 upwards. I know I have 2 young people that would very much like to collect them. Well, moving on now, we also have a wonderful video from a lady called Anne Bailey. She was inspired by her experiences with her own children and co-founded Cambridge-based Form the Future to provide a pioneering careers program that connects school pupils with business. Region of Learning have been working with Form the Future from the beginning. They help deliver our careers program and support young people who are not in employment, education and training to develop their CV, work on basic skills, and generally get a handle on what they've got to offer in a world where often they feel they have nothing. Recently, Anne was awarded the Cambridge Social Innovation Prize by Trinity Hall and the Cambridge Centre for Social Innovation at the University of Cambridge. The prize recognises individuals who have changed the way vital support and business services are delivered for a wide range of beneficiaries. So without any further information, I'll leave you to Anne.
I hate to say it, but we're having some sort of technical difficulty here. My access is denied to open up the video, so I suggest that we share that to all attendees as a follow-up.
Okay, well, thank you. No, it'd be really important to share that.
I've just tried a couple of things, but it won't open.
If you want me to, Will, I could have a go at sharing my computer here. You just have to walk me through the steps.
Yeah, happy to do that. Hold on 1 second.
Okay, let's have
So,
a look.
Tim, you're in control.
Let's have a go. Let's see what happens.
You just wouldn't let me into the Google Drive where the
screen now. I think you've got the wrong screen. How do I change screens? Let's have a look. This is always the danger, isn't it? Trying to do something like this. Is that better?
There you go. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we've got that.
Come back to me afterwards.
Let's have a go.
Okay.
At Form the Future, we help young people as they move through education into employment, helping students to develop new skills, to understand the value of those skills, and to demonstrate their skills and experience is a big part of what we do. Digital badges can help with that. Digital badges can help individuals to showcase their skills and expertise in a specific domain. They offer a visual representation of achievements that can be easily shared and displayed across various platforms, such as social media, online portfolios, or professional networking sites. Digital badges serve as a form of micro-credential, representing specific skills, knowledge, or achievements, separate from the academic qualifications that they're earning elsewhere. The badges can enhance their employability prospects by highlighting those specialized skills and expertise in a specific domain. Finally, digital badges encourage continuous learning and professional development. They recognize achievements beyond traditional academic degrees or qualifications, and they help students to develop a commitment to staying up to date with their skills development. Learning doesn't stop when you leave school. We also believe that badges can act as motivational tools by providing tangible rewards and acknowledging progress. Those gamification elements associated with badges, such as leveling up or earning points, can create a sense of achievement and encourage students to pursue further learning challenges. These are the reasons why we are so excited to see the development of digital badges and have started to create several of our own.
Great. Okay, Will, you take back control. You've done it.
I think so anyway. Hopefully you can see my screen. Right, so that was great. Just so many rich examples of how digital badging can be embedded, and a whole range of just that whole range from 4-year-olds right the way through. It is absolutely fascinating that it can connect in that way. So we have another poll, I believe. What areas do you think are the most valuable use of digital badges? You can add any ideas that are not listed into the chat. You should be able to see, you can only select one of the following, but we've got careers advice there, we've got alternative provision, talent acquisition, creating new industry aligned awards, and enrichment and extracurricular. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to respond, but get clicking, and then we will have a look at the results. What we're keen with these types of webinars, as well as to give you all this rich content, is to make them interactive as well. And as we said, if there's any ideas not listed, please put them into the chat. We are collecting responses still, I see. I can see, and we have closed the poll, which means I should be able to go forward and show you the results. And you should be able to see the results there. So we've got 24% saying careers advice, 5% with alternative provision, 10% on talent acquisition or talent pipelines, 19% on challenge creating new industry aligned awards, and 43% around that enrichment extracurricular, which I wouldn't have predicted would be the one that would have come out on top. I don't know if you would have, Tim. It's always dangerous to make predictions, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. No, that's very interesting, and I think it does make sense around the extracurricular, particularly because of the participants we've got today from the school sector. But it's interesting to see that high percentage on creating industry awards as well, given that we've probably only got a small number of colleges with us today. So yeah, no, fascinating. So are we moving on to questions now?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have a quick look. I have got questions to share. There's questions as well. I'm mindful of time, which is ticking away. So I'm going to keep it really focused. And I've had a think about which questions could go to particular people on panelists, I should say. So I've got a question which I think is ripe for Lucy and Joe. which is how do badges fit alongside qualifications? Can both exist within a pathway? So I don't know if Lucy and Joe, you want to answer that one collectively, or whether one of you wants to answer it.
Yeah, well, I can start off, and yes, absolutely. So we are piloting with an awarding body at the moment, where their qualification will sit alongside informal learning experiences with different providers that actually access their qualifications. This awarding body see the value in having informal learning sit alongside what they're delivering, so that young people can use skills around the qualification to build up a stronger portfolio, and to have progression routes into other opportunities, either within qualifications or that next step into entry-level sort of career options. Joe,
yeah, I'm just adding to that, because ultimately skills are the currency here, and qualifications develop skills, and they're more formalized skills, and then skills are developed through the badges, whether it's formal learning or otherwise, and the value of those skills doesn't change. So whether it's part of a pathway or not, it doesn't matter, it's who it's leading to. So if an employer says they need those skills, and this is the big job of work we've really got to do, it's talking to employers and helping them recognize that it's not about slapping on a qualification, it's actually about really looking at what they need as employers, which is exactly what Greater Manchester have been doing, and saying, actually, I need these skills. It doesn't matter if that's a degree form or this form, it's have they got those skills? And in most cases, we know that qualifications aren't always providing those skills. So if a digital badge is providing that skill, whether it's formal education or informal, it shouldn't matter. So that's the value I see them, and I certainly that's the way some employers are certainly having to look at in order to get the talent they need. I probably should point that towards Jill, really. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely, you're on the nail. A skills profile approach is the direction of travel for us, and it very much fits. When I think about the average age on one of our short courses, or two of them I can think of, the one that we looked at for Bury, the average years in industry, 26 years, they needed to upskill. Another one, Bolton, 32 years in industry. These were people in professional roles that needed to upskill. They don't really need a full qualification. They need those skills. When it comes to actually those new jobs in the digital creative sectors, we can't move fast enough with formal qualifications. We need to be responsive. We need to work, and it's great working with the awarding bodies. Interestingly enough, I don't know whether you know this, but Open College was born in Manchester. And I'm just thinking we're heading in that kind of direction of thinking of a very light touch quality framework for our badge awards, so that we say these have the key characteristics that give you the skills profile needed by the sector. And we've also got the endorsement of employers or employer network partnerships on top of that. So it gives us that real credibility that if you've got something like Wilmot Dixon on your short course alongside your badge, you know you're getting something that's of the now and relevant, particularly in a sector where you've got micro industry, really, micro employers, with a few great big names at the top that subcontract down. So that kind of, you can have big recognition from those major employers, as well as this is a quality GM approach.
And I want to just jump back in there, because obviously this leads directly to what Ray's doing with her school and recognising young people. We have massive shortages in teaching, and actually it's not just teaching. There's huge issues in getting people through the door to train to be teachers. And actually the first steps are those volunteers. The first steps are Ray's badge leading to pre-PGC applications. And actually we know that the colleges are looking for maybe not that route. It's the GTPs and the graduate training programs and those routes, rather than having a degree to start with. So I think that's exactly the route we need to look to get the talent in that we need. So exactly where we're all trying to go.
Thanks all. I'm mindful of time, and I just think there's so much more we can get to. We've got other questions. I'll circulate all of the questions with all of the panelists, and they will be able to respond in kind in time to you individually if you've raised questions that we've not been able to get to. I think that brings me to what's next. Tim, this was something I think
Joe,
people through. Oh no, sorry, I apologise. Is this Joe and Lucy?
Yeah.
Yeah, apologies.
Okay, so Lucy, I'll bring you in as well at the same point. But this is where we wanted to talk about the offer for Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. We very much said our vision is bringing and engaging with schools directly and trying to support their offer, however they choose to use digital badges, so that they are using very similar to CRC. They're looking at their whole cohorts and bringing them into this ecosystem so that they can access and design their own pathways. The things that we want to offer with our vision is that we want to work directly with these schools. We want to provide in-school workshops to help your young people understand the opportunities of digital badges, and we can do that if you communicate to us. We can help you build your own little mini ecosystem within your setting of badges that are relevant to you, and we can look at endorsing them by relevant bodies. So we talked about Skills Builder. We're talking about maybe aligning it with other organisations that you work with to make it relevant to you. And also that will open up the door to other local organisations such as Form the Future, who offer careers guidance, so that your young people and as users will develop a portfolio of badges, not just from your setting, but from all the local providers that work with you. We want to develop pathways with you internally. So if it's an alternative provision, can you develop a pathway through with a school programme, and then out to external courses specifically for them that might map to alternative provision outside of your school setting, or maybe towards employment. We want to provide whole staff training for you and support to talk about badges, enrol all your users, talk about learning and skills, and use the platform, which is a phenomenal resource. And we want to be able to help you provide communications to support your parents, staff and pupils in this journey. And then ultimately, we want to help you as a school access the data, which is so important for reporting purposes, to prove what you're doing is so above and beyond, because we know that that's what you're doing already. If you're interested, and we very much would like to talk to you, please get in contact. Our details are at the bottom here. You can email here, or you can comment on the chat, and you will receive an email with all the details after the webinar.
I think this next slide is for you, Tim.
Yeah.
The offer.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Will. And yeah, it's just an extended invitation really to come and join the platform, and you can try it out for free. You can have a go with creating badges with AI. And building pathways, and even trying sort of linking to live jobs if you like. So there's lots of tools that are available, and this tool's really come out through the Cities of Learning project, and we're making it accessible to all cities now. And just to let you know that if you come in and you are in Cambridge, you will join up with Joanna and Lucy's team, so we keep everything connected for you. And I just wanted to say, you know, it's great to see. It's just been really inspiring to see all these ideas sort of come off a PowerPoint and really come into reality, and see all the inspiring work you're doing. So thank you for that, and thank you for your generosity in sharing all of those ideas as well, which has been fantastic. And just to bear in mind that technically, if you see any badges on the site and you think, I want to collaborate with someone, we have the facility. If you want to issue a badge in Manchester, and then for somebody, create one in Manchester, then issue it in Cambridge, we can do that. So we can do sharing, and you can copy and paste as long as you agree. So you can copy and share each other's work. So there's ways to collaborate if you want to do that as well. So just bear that in mind.
Thanks, Tim. And I've just wanted to quickly say, if you subscribe to the Lightcast newsletter, we will be doing a further series of events on digital badges in education after the summer. So we've done 3 pre-summer, and we will pick things up after the summer. So you will be able to subscribe to get information delivered to your inbox about these series of webinars and others, as well as more generally what we provide in regards to just free access to resources that describe the labour market. So I think that brings me just to a thank you to all of our guest speakers, and thank you to our partner Navigator. If you need to reach out to either Navigator or Lightcast, all the details are here. And as I said right at the start, we will circulate the slides by email, and do come back to us if you have any specific questions or need any specific support. And thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.